The opulent five-star restaurant shimmered under the soft glow of countless candles, their flames dancing across polished crystal glasses and silver cutlery. The air was filled with the murmur of sophisticated conversations and the clink of fine china. Everyone in the room anticipated the arrival of Constance Sterling, the formidable CEO known throughout the business world as the Ice Queen. At 34, she was expected to glide in for her blind date, accompanied by yet another impeccably suited, high-powered executive. Whispers had circulated for days about this mysterious match, arranged by her closest confidant. But when the grand entrance doors swung open, the entire dining hall froze in stunned silence. Instead of a debonair tycoon, there stepped in Henry Carter, a devoted single father dressed in a simple, slightly faded shirt that spoke of everyday struggles rather than boardroom battles. In his hand, he clutched a small, crudely wrapped gift box, something his young daughter had insisted he deliver to his next nice boss. Some patrons gasped audibly, while others hid their shock behind raised hands. No one could have foreseen that in mere hours, this unassuming man would coax the first genuine smile from Constance lips in over 5 long, hardened years. Constance Sterling commanded every space she entered without uttering a word. Her platinum blonde hair cascaded in flawless waves down to her shoulders, framing a face of striking beauty that could have adorned the covers of fashion magazines, if not for the perpetual chill of her piercing blue eyes. She had ascended to the helm of Sterling Technologies at a young age, inheriting the company from her father and tripling its valuation in just 3 relentless years through sheer intellect and unyielding resolve. The corporate elite revered her as a genius, feared her as ruthless, and deemed her completely impenetrable. Her dedicated employees spoke in hushed tones about the boss who arrived at the office before sunrise and departed long after the city lights flickered on, the one who could detect a single misplaced decimal of a report spanning thousands of pages, who never once cracked a smile, never yielded an inch, and never revealed even a hint of vulnerability. Yet 5 years earlier, a catastrophic event had shattered her world. A reckless drunk driver had ignored a red light, slamming into a luxury Mercedes on the driver's side with devastating force. The crash left her paralyzed from the waist down, forever bound to a sleek, custom-crafted titanium wheelchair that outweighed the price of most ordinary vehicles. The road to physical rehabilitation had been excruciating, a brutal marathon of pain and effort, but Constance had tackled it with the same ferocious strategy she applied to corporate takeovers. She rebuilt her upper body strength through iron-willed perseverance. What she could not restore, however, was her shattered faith in others. Her fiancé at the time, Clinton, had lingered by her side for precisely 3 weeks post-accident before declaring he could not cope with her altered life. He departed, leaving behind her mother's cherished engagement ring and a heart that calcified into unyielding stone. Alexandra Chen, Constance's chief operating officer and her sole true friend, fretted endlessly over her transformation. She had witnessed Constance evolve from a passionate, approachable leader into a fortress of cold efficiency, encased in emotional armor. This evening's blind date marked Alexandra's most recent endeavor to breach those impenetrable barriers. She had assured Constance that the man was ideal, affluent, highly educated, irresistibly charming, and vowed to swoop in for a rescue if the evening soured. Stationing herself at a nearby table with an unobstructed view, Henry Carter, standing at an impressive 6 feet 2 inches, with broad shoulders honed from years of manual labor rather than exclusive gym sessions, was 36 years old. Premature strands of silver threaded his dark hair, earned through countless sleepless nights and the demands of solo parenting. His hands bore the rough calluses of a man who built and repaired for a living, and his deep brown eyes radiated kindness despite the weary shadows lingering beneath them. In a former life, he had been a brilliant biomedical engineer, pioneering mobility aids that restored dignity and independence to those who had lost it. His groundbreaking designs had garnered prestigious awards, secured valuable patents, and profoundly impacted countless lives. Then tragedy struck when cancer claimed his wife in a slow, merciless battle spanning 18 agonizing months. Henry resigned from his lucrative six-figure position to become her full-time caregiver, exhausting their savings on experimental treatments that ultimately proved futile. Following her funeral, he gazed at their daughter Audrey, then just 4 years old, and vowed to reshape his priorities. No longer would he endure 80-hour workweeks, endless business trips, or missed bedtime stories in favor of meetings. He turned to freelance gigs and odd jobs, anything flexible enough to ensure he was present for every school pickup, every tear, every milestone. That very evening, Henry had endured another disheartening job interview for a part-time role, only to be turned away because they demanded full availability. It added yet another rejection to his growing collection. He had paused at the restaurant merely to collect a takeout order, a modest celebration meal for Audrey's outstanding report card. His daughter had begged him to carry her handmade gift, certain that this time, her father's kindness would finally land him with a worthy employer. The hostess, mistaking him for the expected guest, had called out Mr. Henry, and he responded out of habit, unaware that a completely different Henry Flynn, scion of a vast pharmaceutical empire, was slated for an entirely disparate rendezvous. The server guided him through the elegant main dining area, past tables laden with $100 appetizers and occupied by influential executives and glittering socialites who barely glanced up. Henry felt painfully out of place in his interview attire. The shirt he had meticulously ironed that morning now creased from the day's toll. Upon reaching the secluded corner table, his eyes fell upon her, a breathtaking woman clad in a deep midnight blue gown, her wheelchair positioned with regal precision, allowing her to oversee the room, a monarch surveying her domain. Constance looked up, her expectations set on the polished pharmaceutical air Alexandra had vividly described. Instead, she beheld a weary man in affordable department store clothing, cradling what seemed like a child's craft project swaddled in newspaper. A flicker of irritation crossed her features before she could mask it. Whispers rippled outward like waves, and smartphones angled discreetly to capture the spectacle. The Ice Queen's enigmatic date was evidently a complete unknown. There must be some error, Henry began tentatively, but Constance lifted one elegantly manicured hand in a gesture of absolute command. "Sit down," she ordered, her voice resonating with the unchallengeable authority of someone accustomed to instant obedience. "Let us discover what you intend." There was an intriguing blend of defiance and intrigue in her tone that gave Henry pause. He could easily depart, clarify the confusion, and retreat to his uncomplicated existence. Yet those icy blue eyes held him captive, frigid on the surface, but hinting at hidden depths, like a frozen lake concealing turbulent waters below. He drew out the chair opposite her, immediately noticing how the table's height awkwardly mismatched her wheelchair, forcing her to contort her arms to reach her water glass. Instinctively, he rose once more, subtly rearranging the place settings to accommodate her better, crafting an ergonomic angle. It was a minor adjustment, rooted in his extensive experience designing for accessibility, but Constance's eyes widened ever so slightly in surprise. Most individuals either pretended her wheelchair did not exist or fawned over it excessively. This stranger had simply resolved the issue with quiet efficiency and resumed his seat. From her vantage point 3 tables away, Alexandra watched intently, her phone poised for immediate action. She fired off a rapid text, "Wrong person. Shall I intervene?" Constance glanced at the message and replied without hesitation, "Not yet." "I find myself intrigued." The server approached with menus, and the full absurdity of the situation dawned on Henry. This was no takeout counter. He had inadvertently crashed a blind date. He opened his mouth to explain, but fate had woven a different tapestry. "Well, what do we have here?" Clinton's voice sliced through the refined ambience like a jagged blade. He loomed beside their table in a tailor-made $2,000 suit, his arm draped around a 23-year-old Instagram influencer who clung to him possessively. "Constance Sterling, dining with whatever this is supposed to be." The restaurant collectively held its breath. Diners pivoted in their seats, drawn to the unfolding spectacle. Clinton's gaze raked over Henry's humble attire with exaggerated disdain. "I heard rumors you were dipping back into dating, but I never imagined you would stoop this low. What happened? Exhausted the supply of actual men capable of handling your circumstances?" A nearby woman stifled a giggle behind her hand, while another table buzzed with murmurs about the once mighty CEO's precipitous fall. Henry sensed the venom saturating the atmosphere, all aimed at the woman seated across from him. He saw her jaw clench, her knuckles whitening as she gripped the table's edge. "You appear to be mistaken," Henry stated with calm assurance, rising to his full imposing height. Clinton, even in his elevated designer shoes, was forced to tilt his head upward. "I am precisely where I belong. The real question is why you feel compelled to disrupt our meal." Clinton's complexion flushed with indignation. "Do you even comprehend who she is? Who I am? I am Clinton Fitzgerald. My family controls half the medical institutions in this state." "And yet," Henry replied evenly, reclaiming his seat, "you have yet to master basic courtesy. Constant, would you prefer I summon staff to escort him away, or shall we simply disregard his presence?" The effortless familiarity with which he uttered her name, treating Clinton as a trivial irritation rather than a threat, rendered the room speechless. Clinton's companion tugged at his sleeve, mortified by the escalating scene. With a final venomous sneer about charity cases, Clinton retreated to his distant table. "Thank you," Constant murmured softly, regarding Henry with renewed fascination. "You were under no obligation to intervene. Someone needed to." Henry responded warmly. "Moreover, my daughter would never forgive me if I allowed such rudeness to go unchallenged." Before Constant could reply, a small, eager voice rang out from nearby. "Daddy." 7-year-old Audrey materialized beside their table, having been patiently waiting in the lobby area where Henry had requested the manager keep an eye on her while he fetched their food. She wore her finest dress, reserved for momentous occasions, paired with mismatched socks, because she had dressed herself with proud independence. "Hello, darling," Henry said, his entire countenance softening into pure paternal tenderness. "This is Miss Constance Sterling. Constant, meet my daughter, Audrey." The little girl executed a meticulous curtsy straight out of her favorite fairy tale films. "Good evening, Miss Sterling. You are exceedingly beautiful. I adore your dress." Constant, who had reduced seasoned executives to quivering wrecks with a single glance, felt utterly disarmed by the child's unfeigned sincerity and warmth. "Thank you kindly," she managed, her voice gentler than she intended. "Your dress is equally charming. Daddy helped me choose it," Audrey declared with beaming pride. "He excels at repairing things and improving how they function. He even modified my friend Emma's wheelchair at school, so it could securely hold her backpack. Perhaps he could assist with yours. The angle appears rather uncomfortable." The guileless comment, delivered without a trace of pity or unease, struck Constant like a bolt of unexpected lightning. This child perceived her wheelchair not as a badge of misfortune, but as an item ripe for enhancement. A long-dormant warmth stirred deep within Constant's chest, a feeling she had entombed 5 years prior. In mere minutes, these two unforeseen visitors, a fatigued father and his luminous daughter, had extended more authentic kindness than she had encountered in ages. The formidable ramparts she had erected from anguish and deceit began to fracture, ever so delicately. "I apologize profusely for the mix-up," Henry began, preparing to depart. "We really ought to leave." "Stay," Constant interjected, surprising even herself. "Please, join me for dinner." From her nearby post, Alexandra nearly fumbled her phone in astonishment. Constance Sterling did not utter pleas. She certainly did not extend invitations to complete strangers. Yet there it was, a subtle softening around her friend's eyes, a glimmer absent for far too long. Henry wavered, acutely aware of the glaring disparities, the scrutinizing onlookers, the intricate social layers. But Audrey had already clambered into the seat beside Constant, prattling animatedly about her butterfly school project. And to everyone's amazement, the Ice Queen was genuinely engaged. posing thoughtful questions. Very well, Henry conceded, settling back with a warm smile. Though I must clarify, this appears to be a case of mistaken identity. I am not the individual you anticipated this evening. That much is evident, Constant replied with dry wit. Flynn Henry would never adjust a table unprompted, nor would he have confronted Clinton so fearlessly. Few possess such courage, the server returned, visibly flustered by the unconventional tableau. Constance ordered for the group with her trademark precision, selecting dishes suitable for a child while upholding the venue's exalted standards. Henry attempted to object to the extravagance, but she quelled him with a steadfast glance that brooked no argument. As they awaited their meals, Audrey eagerly unwrapped her gift. Daddy, may I present this to Miss Sterling instead? She has been extraordinarily kind. Beneath the newspaper lay a hand-painted paperweight, a smooth stone adorned with meticulous swirls of blue and silver. It is for your desk, Audrey explained earnestly, to prevent your papers from fluttering away. Constance accepted the humble offering, as though it were a priceless gem, tracing the child's careful strokes with genuine appreciation. It is absolutely perfect, she declared, and her words rang true with heartfelt sincerity. I shall place it prominently in my office tomorrow. Henry observed the exchange, peering beyond Constance's stern facade to the fragile spirit beneath. He recognized the demeanor of someone who had fortified themselves so thoroughly against pain that they had forgotten the beauty of openness. His late wife had been her polar opposite, vibrant and welcoming until the end, extracting a promise from him, here to seal himself away, never to let Audrey mature in a home devoid of joy and laughter. Your father appears quite weary, Constant remarked to Audrey. Does he labor tirelessly? He works incessantly, Audrey replied with straightforward honesty, but in varied roles because he must collect me from school. He once created amazing robotic devices to help people walk again, but now he mends ordinary items. He remains the most intelligent daddy in the world, though. Abruptly, the restaurant's lights flickered erratically, accompanied by an ominous electrical hum. The sophisticated elevator system granting wheelchair access to the multi-level establishment emitted a grinding screech and halted entirely. Patrons gasped as emergency lighting bathed the space in a subdued amber hue. The manager hurried to Constance's table, wringing his hands in distress. Miss Sterling, my deepest apologies. The accessibility lift has malfunctioned. Technicians are en route, but cannot arrive for at least an hour. If you require departure, that is perfectly acceptable, Constance responded with icy composure, though Henry noted her fingers tightening anxiously on her armrests. Confinement evoked her deepest terrors, a haunting echo of the accident's helplessness. Henry rose purposefully. Would you mind if I inspected it? I possess relevant expertise. The manager faltered, liability fears evident, but Constance nodded decisively. Permit him. Henry approached the mechanism, Audrey scampering behind like an eager apprentice. He scrutinized the control panel, then knelt to access the manual override. His years crafting similar systems had ingrained knowledge of typical breakdowns. The safety protocol had erroneously triggered, locking the unit. Audrey, darling, hold this steady, he instructed, passing her his phone's flashlight. With fluid expertise, he reset the switches, narrating each action to his captivated daughter. In under 10 minutes, the lift purred back to life. Spontaneous applause erupted throughout the dining hall. From his corner, Clinton flushed crimson as his date effused over the heroic father. The manager clasped Henry's hand fervently, pledging complimentary meals and priority reservations. Yet Henry's focus remained on Constance. She gazed at him with an unreadable blend of astonishment, admiration, and profound emotion. You truly engineered medical devices, she whispered in awe. For 8 years, Henry affirmed, returning to his seat. I specialized in adaptive mobility solutions and secured several patents. But that chapter closed. Why abandon it? Constance probed, her intuition already piecing together the answer. Henry glanced at Audrey, now engrossed in the dessert menu. My wife fell ill, acute myeloid leukemia. I took extended leave to nurse her. After her passing, my focus shifted. Audrey deserved consistency, not an absent father jetting to symposia or burning midnight oil. So you sacrificed everything, constant breathed, her voice laced with empathy. I relinquished a profession, Henry corrected tenderly. I preserved what truly counts. The profundity of his statement hung between them like a sacred vow. Constant reflected on her own path, diving headlong into work post-accident, wielding sterling technologies as both bulwark and weapon against further hurt. Your wife was fortunate, she said at last, to have been loved so deeply. I was the fortunate one, Henry countered simply. 13 years together, 7 as husband and wife. Despite the heartbreaking end, I would relive every moment. Their meals arrived, diffusing the poignant intensity. Audrey dove into her pasta with childlike gusto, promptly smearing sauce across her chin. Constant, to her own surprise, burst into genuine laughter as Henry futilely dabbed with insufficient napkins. Allow me to demonstrate a useful technique, she offered, retrieving her phone. She deftly folded a napkin into an impromptu bib, using a clever origami method. Audrey squealed in delight, demanding to master it herself. Conversation flowed effortlessly as they dined. Henry recounted his patchwork career and the juggling act of single parenthood. Constant shared sanitized corporate anecdotes, infusing them with humor to entertain Audrey. The girl interjected with her own whimsical insights on butterfly migrations and her teacher's dire need for romance. Alexandra bombarded Constant with texts. What on earth is transpiring? You are laughing. Is intervention required? Constant replied. I am more than all right, truly thriving for the first time. And she was, for the initial occasion in half a decade. Her thoughts were unburdened by her wheelchair, her constraints, or her self-imposed isolation. She was simply savoring the moment. May I pose a question? Henry ventured as Audrey fixated on her dessert. The forthcoming adaptive technology division at Sterling Technologies, is it legitimate or mere public relations? Constant stiffened momentarily. It is entirely genuine. Why do you ask? Because your strategy is flawed, Henry stated candidly. The announcements emphasize cutting-edge, costly innovations, yet most in need cannot afford $50,000 devices. Prioritize straightforward, practical adaptations that insurance will reimburse. Anyone else would have been dismissed outright for such audacity, but Constant leaned in, captivated. Elaborate. Henry sketched rapidly on a napkin. Your existing joystick mechanism demands full manual dexterity. Integrate a basic pressure-sensitive pad here, enabling palm control. Marginal cost increase perhaps $50. Enhanced accessibility. Incalculable. Constant examined the diagram, her brilliant mind already envisioning implementations. You conceive this instantaneously. It is fundamental. Henry shrugged modestly. It stems from viewing users as individuals, not puzzles. Daddy is incredibly clever, Audrey piped up, chocolate adorning her nose. He crafted a custom tablet stand for my friend Tommy, whose hands struggle. Tommy's mother wept joyful tears. The notion of this financially strained man, still innovating for needy children, pierced Constant deeply. Would you, she began hesitantly, consider consulting for us, merely a few hours weekly, evaluating prototypes? I refuse charity, Henry asserted firmly. This is not charity if your current path is misguided, Constant rebutted. It is astute business. Before Henry could answer, Clinton reappeared, unsteady from excessive wine, his companion futilely attempting restraint. Still masquerading as a family, he slurred. Constant, this is utterly pathetic. Employing a vagrant to feign interest. What is next compensating for companionship? Silence engulfed the room. Even the ambient melody seemed to fade. Audrey's eyes widened in bewildered pain at the cruelty at her newfound friend. Henry rose, but Constant preempted him. Her voice emerged like glacial steel. Clinton, you were humiliating yourself beyond your norm. This gentleman, Henry Carter, rectified your future father-in-law's elevator, averting potential litigation. In one evening, via a mere napkin, he exposed 3 fatal design flaws, in my firm's program contributing more worth than your entire inherited fortune. I need not pay for genuine interest. Unlike you, certain individuals perceive the woman beyond the chair. Henry regards me as a person, not a burden. His 7-year-old daughter has exhibited greater prowess tonight than you managed in our 3 wasted years. Clinton blanched through shades of red. You cannot possibly equate me with. There is no equivalence. Constant cut in sharply. He surpasses you twofold. Depart before security assists. Clinton slunk away, his date murmuring apologies as she hauled him out. The dining hall gradually resumed its rhythm, though many glances lingered admiringly. That was magnificent, Audrey whispered in reverence. You are akin to royalty. Constant felt a blush warm her cheeks, the rush of triumph mingling with deeper sentiment. Henry regarded her with undisguised respect, not for her authority, but for her resilient spirit. Thank you, he said quietly. Your defense was unnecessary. It was essential, Constant replied, locking eyes with him. Desserts arrived, a lavish chocolate soufflé that enthralled Audrey. As Henry aided his daughter with the delicate treat, Constant observed their tender bond, the affectionate guidance, the mutual grins. It embodied all she had resigned herself to forego. Miss Sterling, Audrey blurted suddenly, do you have children? Henry moved to redirect, but Constant answered honestly, no, I do not. I once envisioned it, but circumstances altered. You still could, Audrey insisted with unwavering childhood conviction. My classmate Sarah's mother uses a wheelchair and has 2 little ones. They simply adapted creatively. The innocent wisdom dismantled a belief Constant had etched in granite, and tears pricked her eyes for the first time in years. Audrey speaks truth, Henry added softly. Plans derail, but endings are not predetermined. His gaze conveyed pure possibility devoid of sympathy, filled with authentic rapport. Would you both? Constant started, then steadied herself. Care to tour Sterling Technologies tomorrow? I could introduce Audrey to our robotics laboratory. There is also a rooftop butterfly garden she might adore. May we, Daddy? Please, Audrey pleaded, bouncing excitedly. Henry paused, sensing the shift from serendipity to intent, but his daughter's joy and Constant's veiled optimism swayed him. We would be delighted. The remainder of dinner blurred into easy camaraderie and shared laughter. Constant unveiled long-buried tales, her youthful passion for dance, her unspoken aspiration to create inclusive playgrounds, the algorithm named for her beloved grandmother. Henry reciprocated with raw honesty, his terror of failing Audrey, hospital vigils, the poignant pride in her emerging compassion amid hardship. When the bill arrived, Constant covered it resolutely. You spared them thousands in repairs. This is their gratitude, not mine. As they departed, Audrey enveloped Constant in an exuberant hug. Thank you for the wonderful meal and for treating Daddy kindly. Some folks are unkind because we lack wealth. Constant embraced her gently, as if cherishing a fragile dream. Your father is priceless, my dear, beyond any fortune. Henry guided Constant's chair through the revived lift, his touch steady and reassuring. At the valet, he admitted, this evening defied all expectations. Indeed, Constant agreed, her smile radiant and infinitely superior. Her sleek modified Tesla arrived first. Before closing the door, she called, tomorrow at 2 ask for me at reception. We shall be there, Henry vowed. As the car glided away, Audrey waved vigorously. Daddy, she adores you, perhaps, Henry mused. Or maybe it is you she cherishes. No, Audrey declared with absolute assurance. She gazes at you like Mommy once did, all tender and joyful. Henry's heart ached with bittersweet remembrance, yet bloomed with newfound hope that his perceptive daughter might be correct. The following afternoon brought drizzly skies, but Audrey donned her vibrant rainbow boots and demanded Henry wear his handsome interview shirt. Sterling Technologies loomed majestically, a monument of glass and steel piercing the clouds. Security anticipated their arrival, a subtle sign Constant had orchestrated every detail. They were ushered not to a sterile boardroom, but to her expansive private office, thoughtfully designed for seamless accessibility with broad aisles and adjustable fixtures. Constant was concluding a tense call about financial forecasts when they entered, but upon sighting them, her features melted into genuine welcome. She dispatched the conversation abruptly and devoted herself fully. "Audrey, Henry, welcome. Prepare for an adventure." She navigated them through the facility, her chair gliding effortlessly in spaces engineered for inclusivity. The robotics lab enchanted Audrey, who peppered engineers with astute queries, while Henry offered profound insights. "Your father is correct about the joystick," a senior specialist confessed to the girl. "We over-engineered it. The rooftop butterfly garden proved magical, an enclosed paradise of lush blooms and fluttering wings, despite the rain." A moniker lighted on Audrey's palm, eliciting gasps of wonder. "It is pure enchantment," she sighed. "Biologically explained," Constant teased lightly, yet undeniably magical. As Audrey explored, Henry and Constant lingered by the panoramic windows overlooking the sprawling city. "Why extend this invitation truly?" Henry inquired. Constant paused reflectively. "For 5 years, I existed submerged, everything muted, remote, frigid. Last night, I finally surfaced and breathed freely, perhaps mere adrenaline from rebuking your former fiancé," Henry suggested with a gentle grin. "No," Constant insisted fervently. "It was you and Audrey. You beheld me, not the chair initially. The chair is merely advanced apparatus," Henry said plainly. "Exquisitely designed, yet still a tool. You are what matters." Constant faced him wholly. "Would you contemplate consulting, not out of pity, but because we require your human-centered vision for users with families, hardships, aspirations?" "Audrey is my priority, no fixed schedules," Henry cautioned. "She must be," Constant concurred. "Project-based from home, on-site as feasible. Audrey is always invited. My team is smitten." It was a magnanimous proposition, born of professional esteem. "Agreed," Henry accepted. "But I will be forthright if designs are impractical or unaffordable. I will declare it. I expect nothing less," Constant replied. Then softer, "Henry, may I ask personally, do you envision progressing beyond your wife's passing?" Henry watched Audrey twirl amid butterflies, her laughter a melody. "Loss does not fade. You expand around it, like a tree enveloping a barrier. It integrates, but never halts growth." "Exquisite," Constant murmured. "Sarah would have cherished you, your fortitude, ingenuity. She would urge you to cease concealing behind them. Am I so transparent?" "Only to one who has dwelt there," Henry confessed. "Post-Sarah, I sheltered behind Audrey, evading new beginnings. Lately, I question if that honors her wishes." Constant's hand brushed his on the railing, igniting sparks of connection. "What did she desire?" "My happiness, Audrey's delight, openness to life's surprises." "Surprises," Constant echoed wistfully. "I ceased believing in them long ago. Daddy, Miss Sterling," Audrey dashed over, wings swirling. "They adore me, naturally," Constant said, their hands still linked. Butterflies discern true character. Amid the vibrant flurry, an unspoken bond solidified, not yet romance, but profound potential. Two wounded hearts converged through error, united by a child's purity. "We must repeat this," Constant proposed. "The trio of us, like a proper date," Audrey interjected hopefully. The adults shared a meaningful glance. "As cherished friends," Henry clarified. "Friends who share meals, gardens, collaborative projects," Constant added. "And Sunday park outings," Audrey enthused. "Possibly." Constant smiled warmly. 3 weeks hence, golden sunlight bathed the park. Audrey dashed ahead, flying a rainbow kite, its tail streaming joyfully. Henry strolled beside Constant's chair, attuned to her rhythm, offering aid only when welcomed. Their routine had blossomed: midweek dinners, weekend gardens, weather-permitting parks. Henry's 7 design critiques revolutionized simplicity. Constant's smiles flowed freely, her frosty legend thawing under their gentle influence. "She addressed me as Constance today," Constant shared, eyes on Audrey. "Not Miss Sterling. Is that permissible?" "She reserves that for those she truly adores," Henry affirmed. "You are honored." By the serene lake, Constant tested a chair-mounted kite real Henry co-designed. With his patient tutelage and Audrey's cheers, the kite ascended triumphantly. Ecstasy illuminated Comstong's face, stirring Henry's heart. "You would make an exceptional mother," Audrey declared innocently. "Patient, brilliant, unflappable." Comstong's grip faltered emotionally. "Audrey, I've only if you wished," the girl reassured. "You would excel." Henry deferred, but Constant replied, "That is the kindest compliment imaginable." Audrey scampered off to greet her classmates, leaving them with the soaring kite. "She lacks subtlety," Henry chuckled. "She's flawless," Constant countered. "Henry, what path are we charting?" "Uncertain," he admitted, "but it resonates deeply." "I am complex," Constant warned. "The chair is merely the start. Trust fractures, control tendencies. I parent solo, while scraping by," Henry mirrored. "Nighttime anxieties over futures. We are all intricate. You simplify brilliance." The kite swayed, Constant corrected instinctively. "I have refined your hospital equipment idea. Core utility, minimal frills, work deflection when anxious," Henry teased. "Precisely. Because I must ask, will you formalize us? Beyond friends, partners?" Audrey materialized miraculously. "At last, I informed school Daddy's dating a robotic CEO genius." "Audrey." Henry flushed. "It is factual or will be. If you consent." She beamed expectantly. "Complications. We conquer them collaboratively," Constant vowed. "Engineer's creed. Together." Henry echoed. "Yes." Audrey whooped, embracing them alternately. "Best day. May I call you Connie?" "To formal otherwise, Connie," Constant savored. "I adore it." Sunset gilded their tableau, a non-traditional yet authentic family. Hands entwined, Audrey chattered vibrantly, kite aloft like a vow. "Marmy," Audrey halted. "I mean Connie." "Apologies. Whatever feels natural," Constant encouraged, tears glistening. "Perhaps someday, Marmy," Audrey mused. "If desired," Constant whispered tearfully. Henry squeezed reassuringly, eyes misty. Forged in mishaps and miracles, their love was uniquely perfect. 6 months later, at the annual gala, Constant ascended the stage in emerald elegance. "Half a year ago," she began, voice resonant, "a man entered my world accidentally. He mended an elevator, appended my designs, evoked my first laugh in years. His daughter revealed butterflies' magic and simplicity's power." Spotlights illuminated Henry and Audrey front row. Inspired by them, we launch affordable adaptive solutions for everyday families. Henry Carter heads the division. Thunderous ovation ensued. Personally, Constant softened. Miracles often arrive disguised, a weary father with a child's gift, a girl seeing souls beyond barriers. They liberated me from self-imposed chains. Eternal gratitude. On the dance floor, they swayed Henry upright, Constant seated, Audrey nestled between, stumbling adorably. "I love you both," Audrey proclaimed. "Is that acceptable?" "Utterly perfect," Constant affirmed, embracing tightly. "Our beautiful beginning," Henry added, hands united. "Not foreseen for a wheelchair-bound executive, widowed father, or orphan child, but destiny's finest detour." The Ice Queen dissolved, reborn in laughter, trust, hope, all because a humble dad entered the wrong door at the perfect moment, armed only with love and openness. Sometimes, that suffices to transform everything forever.